Good afternoon. My name is Buffy from the Recovering Perfectionist Mama podcast. And if you haven't viewed one of my podcasts before, I just want to formally introduce myself. My name is Buffy. I am a lifestyle creator on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube in the women's lifestyle space, which means that I'm concerned with topics that are of interest to women, such as motherhood, such as relationships, mental health, fitness, education, leveling up, self-improvement, self-empowerment, beauty, skincare, life hacks, biohacking, longevity, gut biome, cycle syncing, things that can actually help us live a better experience and be happy while we're doing it. Not so much adding, the years not necessarily mattering as much as the life to our years, right? And it seems like everything has just gone a little batty, right? It seems like there is more and more pressure every single day to be perfect or to be flawless or, and then add in the filters that everyone uses nowadays. My husband always jokes, he said, one day kids are going to look back at their parents who are all filtered and be like, I don't think mommy ever looked like that. That doesn't really look like mommy. I'm not sure. They wouldn't even be able to pick her out of a crowd, right? Like, which one's your mommy? I'm not sure. Could she put her filter back on? And for me, that's totally not how I am. I'm a girl's girl. I'm not a person who wants to keep up with appearances. So what you can expect from me is you can expect an honest conversation. You can expect a thoughtful conversation. You can expect a non-judgmental conversation. I'm a girl's girl. I enjoy girls. I enjoy talking to other women. I enjoy getting the feedback and learning from them and us learning from each other. And I am really strongly interested in developing some sort of community through this podcast where we can count on each other, level up together, and things like that. If that's something you're interested in, then Recovering Perfectionist Mama, Grace and Progress is the podcast for you, right? So today's topic is kind of near and dear, I think, to a lot of people, and that is parenting. And so what we are talking about today is parenting without perfection, raising kids with grace and flexibility. So from the looks of even before you know anything about me, from the looks of my username, you can tell that I know quite a bit about perfectionism. And I'm not saying that I'm an expert on perfectionism. I'm not. And have I ever achieved perfectionism? No, I have not. Much to my chagrin, right? But seriously though, what kind of bar is that? Well, let me tell you a funny story about perfectionism that I actually experienced. I had actually moved several states away to go to college. And I had, at this point, moved back. I was moving back to my hometown. And there was an option for a temp job because I was waiting for some certifications. And there was a temp job that I wanted in my hometown. And so I decided to take it through Kelly Services. And so what I would be doing would be filing because they hadn't had a person file for ages. I knew how to file. I'll do anything that you want me to do, as long as it's legal, as long as it's safe, and as long as I know how to do it, right? So filing's pretty basic. So anyway, I took to my job there, and when I got there, there was a huge glut of stuff to do. And I love to be busy. I love to be moving. I love to be doing all the things that I can do that don't involve sitting and staring at the ceiling or a wall or not having anything to do that is productive. That's just who I am, who I've always been, just me. So anyway, there was a period right before I had to take my big test that I had worked through most of the glut of the filing. And the filing wasn't difficult. It was just kind of mind-numbing at times, things. Well, anyway, this particular location was a factory that had salty snacks, and they were very particular. They didn't have a union or anything like that. But what they did have was they had a handbook for the employees, and the employees each year had to sign that they had received their handbook. Nothing major, right? No big deal there. But the thing came in when 2 weeks after I had filed this particular thing, For example, let's say there was a handbook acknowledgement from John Smith and a handbook acknowledgement from Tom Smith, right? So I get called into the office, and I was told by one of the employees, an employee who I later learned was the person who, when they were closing down businesses from this company, they would send her, and she would literally tell people, sometimes the whole factory, like, hey, you're gone. We're no longer needed, right? So I had never seen her that way. She had always been really kind to me. She'd always farmed me out because she knew that I, had a lot of different skills that could potentially benefit rather than just sitting and staring at the walls, you know what I mean? And so she would often like farm me out to other people, which I had no problem because I like to stay busy. So anyway, I sat down and she said, do you know why you're here today? And I said, no, I don't. And she literally slid Bob and Tom's handbook acknowledgement forms at me and said, do you see a problem with these two things? And I said, I don't. I mean, I don't know what their signature looks like. I don't know. I mean, what's the deal? Can you tell me? And she said, well, Bob's acknowledgement form was in Tom's file, and Tom's acknowledgement form was in Bob's file. And then she looked straight at me with a straight face and said, so what would you have done if you had seen that? And I looked dead at her because I'm a very honest person and I'm very direct sometimes. And I said, I would take it out and I would put it in the right folder, which I'm sure was probably not the answer she was expecting. I don't know what she was expecting. And then the next thing she said to me floored me. She said, from now on, I'm going to need you to commit to 100% filing, no errors. And I looked at her and I said, I'm sorry, but there's only one person I know who's perfect. It's not me. It's not you. And if I said that I could commit to being 100%, I would be lying and I would fail miserably. So I'm sorry. I will do my best, but I can't commit to 100%. And she was like, well, okay then. The next thing I did is I spoke to someone that I trusted and I got the heck out of that department. Because some people in HR be crazy. Crazy. And it always comes from the people that are so nice to you in the beginning, and then you realize that they have like a killer instinct inside, right? To just take everybody out. I don't know. So yeah, that was kind of a fun experience and an example as to why none of us are perfect and none of us should expect other people to be perfect if we ourselves are not perfect. So have you ever ended a long day as a parent thinking, I should have been more patient. I should have done more crafts. I should have said yes instead of no. Here's the truth. Perfect parenting doesn't exist. Today we'll explore how to let go of that impossible standard and raise kids with grace, flexibility, and a whole lot more peace. Can't we use a lot more peace, especially in the things that are going around in our lives today, right? Everywhere you turn, like the news is getting more and more depressing. Things can be difficult. But hey, we can ease the load on ourselves by deciding to not self-condemn ourselves for not being something that is impossible to reach. It's an impossible standard. So parenting is a relationship, not a performance, right? You see those parents that are like, I love Johnny, and then like literally like once they think you can't hear them anymore, like you realize that they were performing for you. You were their audience, not their child. And I'm not saying that we don't all like try to, look good in front of people sometimes. That's one thing, sure. Like, I mean, do you want to have like a heated discussion with your child in front of everybody in Walmart? Probably not. But to consistently like want to try to hide certain things, oh my gosh, I have a documentary for you. It is called Unknown Caller on Netflix. If any of you have seen it, oh my word, like cray cray, right? And I don't even use that word, but that is the only way to describe it. If you have not seen it, you need to watch it. Okay, talk about a performance. Okay, so the myth of perfect parenting, right? We all believe that there's some perfection possible, and if there's any, then we should try to reach for it. So there's a lot of cultural pressure. I mean, we look at the perfect Instagram pages, we look at the perfect YouTube pages, the perfect TikTok pages, right? Like the perfect wives, the perfect people, they can do everything. There's something to be said for not embracing perfect. There's something to be said for not comparing yourself to others, right? Because a lot of things are whitewashed. They're made to, or they're filtered. They're filtered through the eye of, I'm perfect. Don't you want to be like me? Which I'm not perfect, and I would never say that I was, because I'm not. Also, let's think about reality. Kids don't need perfect parents. They need present parents. Parents who know what they like to eat. Parents who love them. Parents who check in on them. Parents who actually care for them and love them and are invested in them, right? Not just for cameras, not just for fame, but because they genuinely love them and want to be with them. Now you also have to remember to also offer grace for yourself, right? Speak to yourself in the way that you would speak to a friend. Don't insult yourself. Don't be nasty. Don't be mean to yourself. Those words have implications. Those words can bring you down and make you more self-conscious. Yes, your own self-talk can be used against you in your own mind and go over it and over it and over it and over it. Repair. Don't ruminate. When you lose patience, model accountability by apologizing. Sometimes that can be difficult. I admit that. I mean, I have issues with that sometimes. And I don't know if some of it's trauma or if it's just self-pride or what exactly is it, you know? Also have healthy boundaries. Saying no to overcommitment shows kids that rest and limits matter, right? And I am very guilty of overcommitment. And then I'm running around with my hair on fire and I'm freaking out, and I'm not the happiest person to be around because I'm stressed out. Why do we do this to ourselves, ladies? Why? Answer me. Help me figure this out. I guess I'm the recovering overachiever crazy lady. I don't know. Because seriously, commitments can be difficult to keep a hold of sometimes. Also, think about creating your own personal mantra. An example of that would be, I'm the parent my child needs today. You're right, you are. You were chosen to be this child's parent. You are ready and up for the task. You got this. No one can parent your child like you can because you know them. You know their idiosyncrasies. You know what they need. You know what they love. You know how to bond with them and reach them. Focus on connection over control. When I grew up, control was a big thing for me. Like, not for me, but being raised, I was literally the kid who did what I was told. Now, was I mouthy sometimes? Did I mouth off sometimes? Yes, I did. Did I have my own way and was I stubborn and did I stand up for myself sometimes? Yes, I did. Did I encourage other people to not do things that I didn't want to do? Yes, I did. And so I often thought that I was being sly because I would mumble to myself. However, my parent could actually hear me mumbling to myself, or I would throw things when I would get upset, like dumb things, like a stuffed animal or something. I wasn't destructive. I would kind of have a temper and mouth off, and that was not good. So essentially, I know I didn't want to be controlled, right? I was one of those kids who was kind of a silent protester kind of, but not really. So yeah, just try to collaborate with your kids. Treat them how you would want to be treated. And I'm not saying let them walk all over you. I'm just saying to kind of build that relationship because we're continually building our relationship with our kids. And it's very, very important that we just keep building it brick by brick and show them that we're going to be there for them and that we love them no matter what. Instead of rigid rules, I don't know, you got to clean your plate. I also had that rule, and I look back now and that is so detrimental, especially to people who struggle with weight issues. It can be so detrimental to have arbitrary rules like that. Really, why? Celebrate small wins. Notice kindness, effort, and progress, not just outcomes. wow, Johnny, you were really nice to that kid. I'm really proud of you. You were very encouraging. One of my proud stories that I have about my oldest son, we were at a gymnastics club where he was doing his gymnastics. And there were a couple of kids who noticed that there was an African American child who had walked in to start the classes. And there were some jokes going on. And my son immediately turned to those kids and was like, "What's so funny?" And they were pointing at that kid. And he's like, "Why are you pointing at that kid?" And they're like, "Oh, well, there's an African American kid here," which actually they said black kid here. And my son was like, "Well, what's so funny about that?" And he literally was like, "I don't know why you're laughing." And then he said, he goes, "To make fun of God's creation like that is not cool at all." And then when we went out afterwards to dinner after he was done with his class, I asked him, I said, "Why did you say that?" Because I wanted to see if that was his own thought or if he was modeling or wanting to do what he thought we wanted him to do. And that's when he said, "The skin color is only skin deep. We're all the same on the inside." And that boy was one of God's creations, which we're not supposed to make fun of. We're all the same. We're called to love, Mom. And I was like, wow, okay. So it's some things are sinking in. And I was extremely proud at how he handled that. Because, at that age, I think he was like 7 or 8. It's really not easy to stand up against the tide. It's really not. Another action tip is start weekly family check-ins to share highs, lows, and hopes for the coming week. This is definitely a game changer and could definitely grow your intimacy with your family and help you guys be more of a cohesive unit. Also, practical strategies for everyday grace. Simplify your routines. Anchor your day with just a few non-negotiables, meals, bedtime rituals, and model emotional regulation. I will admit that sometimes this can be difficult, especially if you're overwhelmed and you're stressed. And I know sometimes I have moments where I'm just like stressed, like it feels like through the roof. And so my emotional regulation, I do need to work better on that. I acknowledge that. And then show them how you handle stress, not very well. Deep breaths, short walks, or a calm pause. Those are definitely good techniques to start with. And then community counts. Don't forget to lean on your friends, your relatives, or parenting groups for support and perspective, because we all have a different perspective and it's really nice to be able to reach out and ask for help when you need it. No person is an island, right? We're all supposed to be a village, and that's really what I think that we have the option to potentially create if you all are interested in that. And an action tip, schedule a grace break each day. 5 minutes to reset, stretch, or breathe. All are important. So remember, our kids learn resiliency, empathy, and confidence, not because we're perfect, but because we're real. And that is one thing that you will find from me also. I am real. Like, I am a person who will be honest with you. I believe in honesty. I'm not going to blow smoke, anywhere. I'm a person of my word as well. And I think that that's very, very important. And I just want you to know that you can trust me, and that I hope that you are enjoying my podcast. That would mean a lot to me as well. Also, choose presence over perfection tonight. Share a meal, a laugh, or a story with no agenda. Just enjoy your kids. Like, they're so fun sometimes. I mean, I guess not when they're cranky, but, ultimately. And, perfect parenting is a myth. In this episode, we've discovered how grace and flexibility nourish happier kids and happier parents. Try the Grace Break Challenge. Pick one moment today to pause, breathe, and release the need to be perfect. Share your experience or a photo of your perfectly imperfect parenting moment and tag me so we can celebrate real-life parenting together. I hope to see you guys soon. My next episode will be realistic date nights. Staying connected when life is chaotic. Isn't life always chaotic? Have a great day, guys, and give yourself some grace.